What is up, everybody? It is the Lemons Are Us here, and today we are going to be doing the first scripting tutorial of the series. And in this series, I will be showing you guys how to go from a noob scripter to a legendary dominant scripter, as we like to call it in the scripting world. So let's get down to it and open up Studio, and let's get down to baseplate. So if you guys don't know anything about scripting in the beginning, then this is probably a good place for you to start, because we are going to be talking about variables and functions and just like the basic components of scripts, because scripting actually takes up a lot of basic knowledge, so you need a lot of basics covered first to pretty much do anything. So it's pretty much like in any subject in life, you gotta know the basics first, but especially in scripting, you'll see even when you're doing advanced scripting later on, and what I'll be showing you guys in the tutorial, in the tutorials after, basic scripting will still be a large chunk of what you will be scripting. So actually, you are kind of doing like advanced scripting by doing basic scripting. It's kind of weird in a way, but let's get started with this is workspace, and basically workspace allows us to put anything in the server where people will be able to interact with it. So let's go ahead and put a script in there. So insert object, and let's go to script. So now we're at script. You can see it says print hello world. This is what we call a global function. Now print is actually not a function that you define or that you make, but is integrated or that comes with Studio. So pretty much Roblox made that for you. So let's go ahead and let's create a function. Let's call it new function, and end. So this end basically terminates everything that we want inside of the code, and what we put inside of a function is all the stuff that is related to what we want to be done. So every function has a purpose, and everything that we put in here is part of the what can I say? It's like a grocery list that we need to go down to the ingredients to create, our function. So let's get started with this whole function business, and let's start out with variables, because variables are very important. Variables are basically, how I like to think of them, is like buckets. So let's call this variable bucket equals hi, this is the value of bucket. So what we have here is a variable called bucket, and we set it equal. You always have to set it equal to something, to hi, this is the value of bucket. And variables are kind of like a bucket because they hold a value inside of them, but they aren't really a value. They're more of like a container for a value, because you don't want to always keep using this. You don't want to always keep typing this out. It's better to have a shorter nickname for whatever this is, and keep using that to refer to this, because it's going to be so tedious if you just keep using this. So now that we have local bucket, let's go ahead and do something with this variable, and let's say print bucket. Now if we run this function, what should happen is that it should be printing this variable's value, which is what we set here to be hi, this is the value of bucket. So let's go ahead and let's run our script right now, and you can see down here it says hi, this is the value of bucket. So over here we have new function and two brackets. Basically new function and two brackets over here without anything before it or after it is how we call that function, and you just call it by its name followed by the brackets. Now you might be asking, what are the brackets for? Why do they have brackets? Well, good question. Those are actually what you need to put arguments or parameters into, and those are just fancy words for information. So let's say call this info. And if we say we put Bob, and what will happen in the anatomy or the structure of this function is that Bob, what we entered into place for info, will actually be the value of this variable called info. So now info equals Bob, but if we change this and call it Henry, guess what? Info will now equals Henry. So let's go ahead and instead of having a variable here, we can just say print info. And let's play, and it should print Henry. As you can see down in our output screen, it says Henry. So let's go back to our script and let's maybe say Bob this time. Let's change it up a little bit, add a little spice to our life. Okay, so now you see Bob in the output. So basically what's happening is everything that you put inside of the arguments is being transferred to this variable called info. And pretty much you can do anything with that further on. So let's just go ahead and call info equals, this is the real name. So now that info equals this is the real name, we can go ahead and return info. New function Bob. Okay, we got that. So now let's go ahead and set new name equals new function Bob. You might be wondering what the heck is going on here. Well, actually, local new name equals new function Bob. What we set into Bob as the argument becomes info, right? Now info is being set into this is the real name. So now it's being overridden. It's changed its value and we're returning it, which was now this. So it happens in like chronological order, where if you change it after, the most recent change to the variable will be the variable's value when you return it. So return info, just make sure that we get that variable back, because without this, if we set that equal to local, then it would be messed up. So we would try to return it and give it back to them instead of just changing it inside of the script, because if it's local, and local basically means that it only works in a certain area, then that will not work. So always make sure that you return it instead of setting it to local or such. So local new name equals new function Bob, and now we can go ahead and print new name and return info. This info will carry on as the value for new function Bob. So it's kind of like this function represents info because we returned it. That's just how it works. So now this is pretty much info, and it should print this is the real name. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's play. And now it says this is the real name over down below Bob. So what basically happened was when you set something to return a variable, and that variable's information or that variable becomes the function, that because it comes out of the function, so you need to set it as the function. It's kind of weird, but once you keep doing it, you'll get the hang out of it. So new function Bob equals new name. So whenever you return something, just remember that the function becomes whatever is returned. That's the simplest way I can put it. So I hope you guys understood some of the basic concepts of functions, and if you guys are wondering why we need functions, it's because we want to keep everything organized, and every function should have a specific purpose, and when you put them together, you get like, you know, you can use functions in other areas of code. You can use functions pretty much for organizing your scripts and making sure that you get the same result every time, and it's just the way to do things if you want to be a scripter on Roblox. So I hope you guys like this tutorial. In the next scripting tutorial, we will be talking about how to basically make your first game, and this will be really fun because we're gonna actually make something that'll be cool, and you can script it all by yourself. And hopefully, instead of just trying to teach you guys concepts and stuff. We can do this in a fun way, and I'll be trying to teach like little games, like how to script little games in the next tutorials. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you liked it and you want to see more, please like and subscribe.